welcome back to my channel. Tired of warm wine ruining your tasting experience? In this video, we test and compare the best countertop wine fridges on the market, from compact 12-bottle coolers perfect for apartments to spacious 52-bottle dual zone units for serious collectors. Whether you're a casual sipper or wine enthusiast, we'll help you find the perfect cooler for your space and budget. Okay, friends, let's see top 5 best countertop wine fridges depth review.
Number 1. FOVOMI 52-bottle wine cooler refrigerators. Wine sampling is my new hobby, and although I'll never become a sommelier, trying out different wines has become a new hobby of mine, one I really enjoy. As a result, I knew I needed a good wine cooler to display my wine collection at home. I recently bought a whole bunch from the wineries from my vacation to Napa Valley. I learned that storage is half the battle, as keeping things on the cooler side keeps the flavors tasting full. My first impression? This thing is near silent, which I love. The touch buttons are so easy to use, too. You don't have to push too hard at all, which is great, so I never have to worry about them breaking. The temperature is adjustable, which is really great. And, not only does it hold so many more bottles than I expected, but there's even a lock on it. And considering I stole alcohol from my parents as a kid, it's nice to know that my children won't be able to follow in my footsteps, haha. The design is sleek and somehow manages to go great with my rustic kitchen, even though it's on the modern side. It's listed as a wine fridge, but it's honestly more like its own appliance. The cooler is dual zone, which means I can store red wines on one side, white wines on the other. The differing temperatures is great because it maximizes the flavor and intensity in the taste of the wine, so I never have to worry about it not going bad. It's also massive and can hold over 50 bottles. It's about 20 inches wide and super spacious, but somehow doesn't manage to take up my office either. It really looks great in almost every room in the house. It's really an awesome investment, and honestly, even if you don't drink wine, you can even use it for water and soda. It's just a really convenient thing to have, and I'm really happy with the purchase. If you have a lot of wine, then this is the best thing you could purchase to store it. It's a great size for the empty corner in my room, and you can store about 5 wine bottles per row, but personally, I stack them on top of each other, just because that way I can store even more, so that's cool. It only took about 10 minutes to set up, too, which was really nice. I was worried about it damaging my flooring, but I found that it's not an issue in the slightest. A lot of people talked about the design of this thing, and boy, I can't agree more. It's super stable and I can even use the top of it to set my plants and books on. The buttons are also touch screens, which I freaking love. It makes it feel extra fancy, and there's 2 keys so I don't have to worry about anyone breaking it in. I have nosy friends, so that's important. So, overall, if you're looking for a good cooler, wine fridge, or just a secure place to store your favorite beverages, then this is it for you. Number 2. NewAir Dual Zone 46 bottles wine fridge. I read dozens of reviews online before deciding to go with this wine cooler, and I'm so happy I did. The too long didn't read version, TLDR, the cooler has a lot of space, is quieter than I expected, has a sleek design, and is the exact amount of functional I was hoping for. Now, onto the details. I wanted to try this for nearly a month before giving my review, so I could be sure it was as authentic as possible. First off, it can fit up to 46 bottles, which is freaking awesome. I knew I wanted a mid-size cooler that could stand by itself and had a glass door. I also wanted to make sure that it could fit larger bottles, as I read a lot of these weren't able to do that. Although there were some negative reviews about this, the positive greatly outweighed it, and I noticed that a lot of them had negative reviews anyways. Overall, this fit the specs I was looking for. This cooler was the exact amount of space I was hoping for. If you do a little Tetris, it can hold up to 40 bottles, which is great. There are 2 sections, a top and bottom, but there's a bump for the light on the bottom that makes it so some of them can't stand straight up, but it's not a big deal. You can remove the shelves, but you can't adjust them, so I keep my small bottle in the top, on the bottom rack, and I like that the light on the top doesn't get in the way of any of the bottles. It's also a lot deeper than I was expecting, and I can effortlessly fit 4 larger bottles in the bottom. The center racks can be doubled up, and it might get a little tight, but I had no issue storing all my favorite reds in the middle. I was a little hesitant about using a compressor cooler, because so many people complained about the noise, but really this thing is super quiet. I even used a dB meter, and found that when the compressor was running, it averaged 20 to the 32 dB, but when people walk around or jump, the sound can spike to 40, but this is just me being picky, honestly. And remember, all this depends to the model you order, there are several. There's a little click when it turns on, but my Chihuahua makes more sound than this thing. There's a digital read on the panel and has a really nice bright light. I'd prefer it if the light was adjustable, but that seems pretty standard on these coolers. The Dual Zone is an extra plus and seems to work really well. I can keep the temperatures at a nearly 10-degree difference and have zero issues. Obviously when you load wine, it's going to fluctuate, but it always returns back to what it's set at. The panel has an automatic lock and you have to hold the buttons for a few seconds, but I don't really mind that. The touchscreen is also on the sensitive side, but I prefer that over pressing it too hard. There's 2 wheels and 2 legs that slide around easily and have no issue adjusting, so overall leveling it was really easy. Some of the reviews describe a bad smell, but once you unpack it, the smell goes away, and I barely noticed it to begin with, honestly. I do recommend following the instructions and cleaning out the inside with a Clorox wipe or soap first, but I also just left the door open for a few hours to let it air out and that worked great. Afterwards, you can put in the racks and the smell should be gone. At least that was my experience. This is a great cooler, and definitely affordable for the quality. It's quiet, works great, and other than maybe having a little bit of space between the bottles, I have zero issues with it. It's compact enough to fit under a counter, and yet looks great and can hold about 46 good-sized bottles. 10 out of 10, highly recommended. Number 3. Antarctic Star 12 Bottle 48 Can Wine Fridge. My Antarctic wine cooler was delivered a week after ordering, which was sooner than I expected, so that was nice. It's a compact unit, but honestly it works better than I ever expected and is quieter than I thought. The top of the fridge isn't as cold as the rest of it, but it gets the job done and looks great in the process. The display light is always on, but honestly, it's not overbearing, and serves as a nightlight in my kitchen, which I kind of like when I stumble in half asleep for a cup of water. The door is pretty heavy, so just be aware of that, especially if you plan to switch the door on either side. It's reversible, so that's cool, and helps with fitting it in tight spots. Just make sure that you line up the door right, otherwise you won't have a tight seal. The trick is to just make sure that you don't tighten the screws super tight until you have them in the right spot. I definitely give this 5 stars, mainly because the customer service was great and they said they'd give me replacement parts for anything that was defective. And on to that point, I still feel it's necessary to make clear that there were some flaws to the design. Whoever installed the door originally scratched some of the outside, so that was annoying. The cover over the hinge also had a small thin crack and some scuffing on the exterior. When I was moving the cover for the hinge, the clasp snapped, but fortunately customer service is fixing that for me. After owning this wine refrigerator for the better part of a year, I can 100% say that the negative reviews really don't paint a good picture of this thing. Most of the complaints were about the noise, but this didn't bother me at all, mainly because all fridges are going to have condenser noises, so it's pretty much to be expected. My Spox is louder than this thing, lol. There is condensation that builds up beneath the door, so just keep in mind that you might get a small puddle beneath it. A drip pan could help with this. Even though it's meant for wine, I keep everything from root beer to Coca-Cola inside it, and the space is actually really great. I'm really happy for it. I did a lot of research before taking the leap, and honestly, I'm really glad I did. The quality is solid and durable, but the wire rack really bothered me. It was scratching the inside and I was struggling with getting more than 4 bottles of wine inside. Now I can fit at least 15. After running it for almost a day, it seemed like it was getting a little warm, so I decided to keep the temperature closer to 52 degrees. I'm going to be aging some bottles, so the cooler, the better. For the price, I think this is a really good investment, and I definitely recommend it. Despite these little hiccups, it's working better than any other brand I've tried before, hence the main reasoning for my 5-star review. Also, it's almost packed too well. Take your time getting the cellophane off and try not to get as frustrated as I did. The slower you go, the easier it will be to take it off. Number 4. Ivation 12-bottle wine cooler refrigerator. I always wanted a wine cellar in my home, but let's be real, it's not plausible when you live in Florida, haha. This was the next best thing, and it keeps me from having to trek to a separate place to get my wine. Now I can just fit this right in the middle of my kitchen. Setup went super smooth, and if you're worried about needing a level to make sure it stays even, you can put a tennis ball on the top of the cooler to make sure it doesn't roll. That will help you keep it level. After some research, I found that the best temperature is a solid 55 degrees, which is great for wine storage, and it's almost the same temperature that actual vineyards use in their cellars, which is really cool that this mimics that. It's not even that noisy either. You'll hear a few sounds from the compressors, but that's to be expected. While larger bottles like champagne don't necessarily fit in bulk there, you can make it work if you remove a rack, but I'm using this purely for wine and found it's not an issue at all. This wine cooler is so elegant and modern. I just love how sleek the design is. Setup was very easy, and I had no problem assembling this. I was worried about the temperature staying even, but I had zero problem with it. The directions were really easy to follow. I just definitely recommend making sure you're giving extra space on either side of the cooler to ensure you have good ventilation. So just make sure you're storing it in an area that has a little extra room and that it's not pressed up against walls or in a tight space. My daughter even wants one now, so I think this will be a great gift for her 30th birthday. I was really on the fence about whether I should get a wine cool with a compressor or one that was thermoelectric, but I seriously am so happy I went with this compressor unit. The sound people complained about really seemed exaggerated. It's not that loud at all, nothing worse than the sounds my ice maker makes, and now it just blurs in with the rest of the kitchen sounds. It looks great, blends in with my appliances, and the temperature is super steady. I'm so pleased with this thing, and now it almost feels like a treat when I buy wine. Number 5. SCHMÉCKÉ 12-bottle wine cooler refrigerator. After always forgetting to drink the wine that gets shoved into the back of the fridge, I decided to splurge on myself for Mother's Day. Come on, even us mamas need our toys to help us relax. I was a little annoyed when it told me how long it would take to ship, mainly because I was so excited to get it, but I was pleasantly surprised when it got delivered 4 days early. It came packaged super safe with good foam packing and as a result was in great condition. It only uses 50 watts to operate, which is better than I expected. I did the math for you, and essentially it only takes just over 10 cents a day to run. Just to let everyone know, that means it's worth it. The appearance is so sleek. It's mirrored, with a 3-inch edging and the LED light is blue, which looks so nice. It seemed a little wobbly at first, but you can adjust the screws on the feet at the base, so I recommend doing that if you find it is a little crooked. It's super easy to move around and very lightweight, and the door opens on the left side, which I wasn't expecting, but don't really mind. After comparing the temperature with a thermometer gauge, it is really accurate, which is great. I also like that it's in Fahrenheit, which is a little detail I liked. Also, it's so quiet, I don't even notice it. I do have allergies though, so the new smell out of the box was a little intense, but that's just me. If it's really an issue, I'd recommend opening it with your windows open or on a porch, but that's just me. This countertop beverage cooler is exactly the thing that my kitchen was missing. It has a modern design that looks straight out of Barbie's dream house, except it's not pink, which is just fine, haha. It's elegant and makes me feel extra fancy when I have friends over for wine and cheese night. I checked out a few other designs that were larger, but ultimately I'm really happy I went with the compact option. It works great, too, the temperature stays the same, The display light is a really nice touch, and the touchscreen is a really awesome little user-friendly upgrade. Overall, I can't get over how great this thing works, and I'm really happy with it. I really like this and plan to all my mommy friends that they too need a wine cooler to help them relax after the kiddos go to sleep. Thanks for watching.